Whew, okay. Hey, what's going on, guys? TBL here with a small update video to kind of connect with the update video I put out last night about the rumors of the Nintendo NX that were then confirmed that we were going to be seeing it sometime today. It happened. The Nintendo Switch is the official name for the next console in Nintendo's home and mobile console family. That's right, the leaks were all true. This is going to be a home console that provides a home console experience like your PlayStation 4, your Xbox One, your Wii U's, and it's going to have a little bit of a almost tablet sort of screen thing that you can take away from the home. It's going to be on cartridge-based games like all the leaks said. You can take it away from your home and play it on the go. And holy crap, does this thing look good. And I mean that emphatically, it's not a bad looking console. So of course today at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific time, Nintendo put out a trailer for the Nintendo Switch, their next big console, and we got about 3.5 or so minutes of just a full view of what this thing looks like, what it does, and what you'll be able to play on it. Basically the 3 high points that Nintendo needed to hit with this console. They blew it out of the park in my opinion. So first things first, we got to see the controller, which matches what the leaked designs portrayed. It's going to be a controller that kind of breaks into 2 separate analog stick devices that you'll be able to control in each hand. You can connect them to the screen that you disconnect from the console when you're on the go. You can use a modified version of a Wii U Pro controller to play this thing. As a matter of fact, it looked like the Wii U Pro controller was the main controller for the main home console, and the detachable controllers are the main controller for the portable variant, which is the screen that you pull out of the home console dock when you're moving out and on the go. We also got to see some games. The very first thing they showed off was some more of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which of course we got more gameplay footage of earlier today before the Nintendo Switch trailer went live. But the controller looks like it's going to be a nice, fun, and versatile way to play both at home and on the go. Which, when we first got some of the intel leaks that this console was going to be some sort of home console mobile variant, we were a little bit worried about how it would control. But these detachable controllers look very versatile. You can play them separately, you can hook them up to the screen and play them like that. You can even turn them into some other type of controller so more than one person can play. It looks like there's going to be a lot of options for you to play this thing comfortably and play it well, which is exactly what we wanted for a mobile console like this. Alright, it's stated that the system is designed to be played both at home and on the go. During the reveal trailer, we got to see the Nintendo Switch hooked up to its base station with somebody playing it off of a TV. And then they made a very big point to emphasize the fact that anytime you want, you can literally just unhook this thing, walk out of the house, and continue playing your game. Nintendo describes the Switch like this. Introducing Nintendo Switch. In addition to providing single and multiplayer thrills at home, the Nintendo Switch system also enables gamers to play the same title wherever, whenever, and with whomever they choose. The mobility of a handheld is now added to the power of a home gaming system to enable unprecedented new video game play styles. And that's really the message that is hammered home in this video. And of course, if you haven't seen the trailer for it, there is a link to it in the description box below. Now, Nintendo continued on to say that at home, Nintendo Switch rests in the Nintendo Switch dock that connects the system to the TV and lets you play with family and friends in the comfort of your living room. By simply lifting Nintendo Switch from the dock, the system will instantly transition to portable mode, and the same great gaming experience that was being enjoyed at home now travels with you. The portability of Nintendo Switch is enhanced by its bright, high-definition display. It brings the full home gaming system experience with you to the park, on an airplane, in a car, or to a friend's apartment. Gaming springs into action by removing detachable Joy-Con controllers from either side of Nintendo Switch. One player can use a Joy-Con controller in each hand. 2 players can each take one, or multiple Joy-Cons can be employed by numerous people for a variety of gameplay options. They can easily click back into place or be slipped into a Joy-Con grip accessory, mirroring a more traditional controller. Or, if preferred, the gamer can select an optional Nintendo Switch Pro controller to use instead of the Joy-Con controllers. Furthermore, it is possible for numerous people to bring their Nintendo Switch systems together to enjoy local multiplayer, face-to-face competition. And again, that is all very heavily on display in the video. They make a pretty heavy point of showing you how you can use this thing at home, on the go, with your friends, and by yourself. Let's focus a little bit more on some of the games we saw. Alright, so first up, we did get to see some more of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. probably going to be game of the year next year. I'm super excited for it and I'm ready. But we also got to see some other surprising things that I was really happy to see. One of the things you guys have heard me say, and certainly the other guys on the EotW podcast say, is that we want this thing to launch with a lineup of strong games. And one way to help that would be having some Wii U titles available for it, whether that be through backwards compatibility or an upwards compatibility boost for certain Wii U games to be available on the NX, which was speculated. And we got to see some of that. We got to see Mario Kart 8 in action on this thing, which leads me to believe that certain Wii U titles like Splatoon, we also got to see that. They made a huge deal out of Splatoon tournaments on this thing, which makes me super excited. But we got to see titles like Mario Kart 8, Splatoon, probably Smash Brothers is coming to this thing. Which is good. Those Wii U titles were fantastic and they needed to be available on NX. And just from this trailer we've got here, that's looking like a fairly strong possibility. But moving away from that, we also got to see some really surprising games show up on this thing. Like The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim. That's right, they showed off Skyrim on this thing, and it was playing smoothly. Of course, this is just a trailer, so you should probably take it with a grain of salt. We'll see exactly how smoothly it plays on the go once this thing actually comes out. But Skyrim, that's a huge third-party title that has never before been on a Nintendo console. This is a huge monumental moment for Nintendo, and that's not the only bit of great third-party news here. Shortly after this trailer went live, Nintendo put up this image showing off their third-party support. Take a look at some of the names in there. We've got all the big ones like Konami, Activision, Atlas, Bethesda, Capcom, Square Enix, even the revived THQ, WB Games, holy crap, EA, From Software. All of the biggest third-party developers are on that list, which means all of the biggest third-party developers have pledged some sort of support to Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch. If nothing else, this is probably the biggest, most positive indicator for this console. This is the thing that's showing that this is going to be a serious gaming machine. And that is exactly what Nintendo needed to do. They needed to present a console that was powerful, that was fun, that had a good gimmick, that wasn't too annoying. Like I think sometimes some stuff with the Wii with its motion control was a little bit too much, and certainly with the Wii U having to use the gamepad for some games, it wasn't the best gimmick. It got old. This is something I can get down with. A home console experience that I can take with me on the go is a fantastic gimmick. And the last thing they needed to do was make sure that they had the games necessary to support this thing on launch. And that requires not only first-party interaction, which we've seen plenty of, and we'll be talking about some of the first-party games we saw in just a sec, but also third-party titles, third-party development, third-party relationships, which Nintendo has been sorely lacking in for the past few gaming generations. They really needed that third-party support to help keep their console moving, and now it looks like they finally got it. Again, this looks like it's going to be really good. It's thus far got everything it needs to be a successful console to have a great launch. Now let's talk about a few of the first-party titles we saw. Or really, talk about one and mention a few others. Of course, we spoke a little bit about seeing Mario Kart 8 on there. Again, I speculate that we're probably going to be seeing Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS ported over to the Nintendo NX if it hasn't been already. We've got The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But bigger than all of those games, we got to see a few seconds of a brand new 3D flagship Super Mario title. This is gonna be the big one, guys. This is going to be our new Super Mario 64 experience, our new Super Mario Galaxy experience, and the graphics for it, even though we only got to see it for a few seconds, the graphics for it look great. Which I gotta say I wasn't really too worried about. They always managed to make their titles look just as good as possible. But the hardware specs, which we haven't gotten yet, we should be getting the specs for this thing sometime very soon, maybe even as soon as tomorrow, as one of the leaks was speculating. But hardware is one of the things people have been worried about the most for this, especially once the leaks came out and now are confirmed that it is a home and mobile console variant. How's it going to be able to push out top tier graphics and whatnot when you're on the go? Well, certainly resolution's going to be a lot easier on the mobile variant because you're going to be watching it on a smaller screen. so they'll definitely be able to get away with a lower resolution when using it in mobile mode, which I'd imagine is what they plan to do anyway, since it's going to be kind of hard to pump out top tier graphics on a mobile console and keep it steady at 60 frames per second. If anything, that's probably going to be the biggest thing I'm looking for. What the battery life on this thing is, what the hard drive space on it is, and whether or not it can maintain 60 frames per second when you're on the go. We see a lot of third-party devs who make some big action-y titles. We see Activision on there. What's Activision going to be porting to this thing? Probably Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I'm shooting for the stars here, and I'm really hoping Call of Duty makes its way back to a Nintendo console. But if I'm going to be playing that on the go, I need it to be 60 frames. I'm not worried about the controller situation. Like I said, we've seen how the controller works. We've seen the multiple variants you can put it in and how it connects to the console itself, or how you can just use a Pro controller variant with it. I'm not worried about the controls. I want to know how it's going to play and how it's going to look. And finally, speaking of playing, the last thing we're going to touch on here is the fact that it is going to be utilizing cartridges. We got to get a little bit of a look at that in the trailer itself when one of the people who was playing on the NX took it out of its home dock, put in a cartridge for it, and then started playing. So Nintendo's going back to the old cartridge format, which some people think is a bad thing. I don't. The cartridges are, I think, Nintendo's proprietary idea, so that's going to cut down a bit on development costs. They don't have to pay out any royalties for that. And it's not like chips and whatnot can't hold an incredible amount of space now. You can get 164 gig flash drives now and 164 gig SD cards now. Certainly they can get a lot of space on a cartridge. I'm not worried about that at all, about the quality and the size of the games. If anything, I'm more worried about how much hard drive space the Nintendo Switch itself is going to have. I didn't see any modular hard drive slots on there, so I don't know if we'll be able to switch those out for our own personal drives, or if it's going to have a USB port that will allow us to hook external drives to it. The Nintendo Wii U does, so hopefully the Nintendo Switch does as well. But I really hope Nintendo didn't cheap out on the internal hard drive space on this thing, because a lot of people play their games digitally. They download their games digitally. I know certainly I do. I don't really buy a lot of physical copies of games very much anymore. So I'm hoping we at least have a 500 gig hard drive in this thing. The Wii U max hard drive size came at, I think, 32 gigs, which was nowhere near big enough. But I suppose as long as it supports expanded system memory, we'll be okay. We'll be able to work with that. But alright guys, I think I've rambled enough about the Nintendo Switch. We do have a release date confirmed for March. It is going to be March 2017, probably early in the month. We do know Breath of the Wild is coming around on March 4th, so it's probably going to be releasing sometime around then. And hopefully, all of the games that we got to see today will be available on launch. If so, this thing is going to be a serious contender for everybody's console space. But alright, I will keep you updated as more information comes out. We'll continue making videos talking about this thing. I am super duper psyched, I'm super excited, and I'm happy Nintendo has finally unveiled their future in the gaming world. That's going to be it for this one, guys. Be sure to let me know what you think of the Nintendo Switch down in the comment section below. And again, if you haven't seen the trailer, I will have a link to it down in the description box. But alright, I'm out for now. As always, I am TheBlackLink. You guys stay frosty, and I can't wait for the Nintendo Switch.